Tonight, we unravel the truth behind one of the most disturbing tragedies to ever shake China's entertainment industry. Actor Yu Menglong, beloved for his charm, talent, and quiet humility, was found dead after what officials labeled a fatal jump accident caused by excessive alcohol. But leaked footage, eyewitness reports, and strange inconsistencies have painted a much darker picture, one that suggests this wasn't an accident at all. Stay with us, because what we're about to reveal could expose the hidden rot in the very heart of China's entertainment empire. From a glittering dinner gathering to a fatal plunge that ended it all, this is the shocking story of Yu Menglong's final moments before his death, and the industry collapse that followed. The night of the tragedy began like a celebration, elegant, exclusive, and seemingly harmless. It was held at a luxury private dining suite in Shanghai's upscale Suhui district, known for hosting A-list events away from public eyes. Sources say the guest list included not only close friends but also several influential figures from film agencies, music production companies, and investment groups, the same network that once helped Yu Menglong rise to fame. At approximately 8:45 p.m., cameras caught Menglong arriving at the event in a simple black suit, smiling faintly as he greeted others. To onlookers, he appeared calm but distant, as though something weighed on him. Those close to the actor later told investigators that Yu had been unusually withdrawn in recent weeks, skipping interviews, avoiding social media, and cancelling several promotional appearances for his latest drama. Inside the restaurant, the atmosphere was dazzling: laughter, clinking glasses, and a long table filled with seafood platters and fine wine. It was meant to be a night of reunion, celebration, and relaxation after months of exhausting filming schedules. Yet, as the evening progressed, subtle tensions began to emerge. By 10:15 p.m., witnesses noticed Yu Menglong drinking far more than usual. According to one staff member, he appeared uncomfortable when a well-known producer seated next to him began discussing upcoming projects and contracts. Several people recalled seeing him stare blankly at his drink, nodding but rarely responding. The tone of the night slowly shifted from joyous to uneasy. Then came what insiders now refer to as the final toast. Around 11:30 p.m., one guest, reportedly a senior executive from a large entertainment conglomerate, raised a glass and proposed a toast to the survival of the industry. Those words, now eerily prophetic, were met with forced laughter. Yu lifted his glass, took a sip, and excused himself moments later. Security camera footage from the restaurant hallway, later leaked online before being quickly deleted, shows Yu Menglong walking toward the elevator with slightly unsteady steps. But something strange stood out. Two unidentified men followed him moments later. Both appeared to be in their late 30s, dressed formally, but their faces were never revealed to the public. According to the building's security logs, Yu exited on the rooftop floor at 11:47 p.m. What he was doing there and why remains one of the greatest mysteries surrounding his death. Emergency calls were made at 12:03 a.m., reporting that someone had fallen from the upper levels of the building. When authorities arrived, Yu was found unconscious near the side of the street, his body badly injured from the fall. He was rushed to a nearby hospital, but despite desperate attempts to revive him, he was declared dead at 12:47 a.m. The official statement released hours later by the Shanghai Municipal Police described it as an unfortunate accident caused by intoxication and loss of balance. But as the details surfaced, inconsistencies began to multiply. In the days following his death, the entertainment world erupted. Social media was flooded with mourning posts, but beneath the surface, murmurs of suspicion began to grow louder. Fans and insiders questioned how a man known for being careful and health-conscious could have consumed so much alcohol that he'd accidentally fallen. Even more concerning was the revelation that all rooftop surveillance footage from that night was mysteriously corrupted, except for a few seconds of static images showing a silhouette standing near the edge, facing the city lights. Was it Yu Menglong? Or someone else? Anonymous sources close to the investigation hinted that Yu had been under immense pressure due to an internal dispute with his agency over a major contract renewal. Rumors suggested he had threatened to expose unethical practices and unfair treatment in the industry. Those claims, though unverified, became the spark that ignited public outrage. Several entertainment journalists began digging into financial records of the companies connected to the dinner guests. What they found was unsettling overlapping partnerships, hidden offshore accounts, and unregistered production funds that suggested large-scale tax manipulation and bribery schemes. Suddenly, Yu Menglong's death no longer looked like an isolated tragedy. It began to resemble a symptom of something far more sinister. One insider, identified only as L, came forward to a local news outlet weeks later, revealing what might have been the final conversation Yu Menglong had before his death. According to L, Yu had confided that he was planning to step away from acting for a while. He had grown disillusioned with what he called the dark machinery behind fame, the pressure to comply, the manipulation of images, and the constant fear of speaking out. He said he felt trapped, the source said quietly. He wanted to break free, but someone told him that walking away wasn't an option. What did that mean? Who told him that? No one knows. But the phrasing haunted investigators and fans alike. Then came the discovery that shocked everyone, a voice recording, believed to have been taken from Yu's personal phone. Though the file was partially deleted, forensic experts managed to recover fragments of audio in which Yu could be heard saying, "I can't do this anymore. They think I don't know, but I do. I've seen everything." The rest of the message was too damaged to restore. But that single sentence reignited national debate over what truly happened that night. As the investigation deepened, more high-profile names surfaced. Several executives quietly resigned from their positions. Certain drama productions were abruptly halted. Some actors who had attended the dinner disappeared from public view altogether, claiming personal reasons. The domino effect was undeniable. Yu Menglong's death had exposed cracks that the industry had long tried to conceal. Chinese media outlets began referring to it as the silent collapse. The once glittering facade of celebrity life now looked tarnished by scandal, secrecy, and fear. Fans launched petitions demanding transparency, while international entertainment observers compared it to a modern-day industry purge. Within months, major entertainment firms began facing audits. Streaming platforms pulled down projects connected to those under investigation. Sponsors withdrew funding, and television networks froze contracts worth millions. Careers that had once seemed unstoppable suddenly crumbled overnight. But through all the chaos, one haunting question persisted: what really happened on that rooftop? Months later, forensic reanalysis of Yu's toxicology report revealed a new discrepancy. While alcohol was present, the levels did not match those typically causing severe intoxication. Experts suggested that although he had been drinking, his coordination impairment could not fully explain a fatal fall. Even more chilling was a detail buried deep in the autopsy summary: traces of an unidentified sedative were detected in his bloodstream. It was a compound often used in high-end hospitality environments to induce drowsiness discreetly, usually mixed with alcohol. No mention of this was made in the initial report. Suddenly, everything changed. What was once labeled a drunken accident began to look like a meticulously planned cover-up. A whistleblower from the restaurant later revealed that certain portions of CCTV footage had been manually erased on the morning after the incident, reportedly by order of an unnamed executive-level guest. The manager who complied later vanished from public record, and the restaurant itself quietly shut down weeks later for renovation. The investigation eventually expanded beyond Yu's case. Reports emerged of other unexplained incidents involving young actors and artists who had tried to leave their contracts or speak against their management. Some claimed to have received threats, others found their careers suddenly destroyed. It became clear that Yu Menglong's story was not just about a tragic fall, it was about the cost of truth in a world built on control. A close friend of Yu's, speaking anonymously in an overseas interview, revealed that Yu had been keeping a private journal documenting everything he witnessed within the industry: hidden abuse, manipulation of public images, and financial exploitation. Though the journal has never been made public, fragments leaked online suggested Yu intended to publish it as a memoir one day. If he had released those pages, the source said, everything would have changed. He knew too much, and they knew he couldn't be allowed to talk. By mid-year, the Chinese entertainment scene was in free fall. Projects were halted, agencies dissolved, and several prominent figures faced legal charges. The entire system, once untouchable, was now exposed under a harsh light of suspicion. And in the midst of it all, Yu Menglong's name became a symbol of something bigger, a reminder of how fame and power can coexist with silence and danger. Public memorials appeared across cities, candles, letters, and photos placed under posters of his dramas. Fans wrote messages that read, "You deserved the truth. We deserve it too." International media began covering the story, connecting it to broader conversations about artist exploitation and mental health. The collapse wasn't just industrial, it was moral, emotional, and deeply human. Today, Yu Menglong's death remains officially categorized as an accident. But few believe that story anymore. Too many unanswered questions linger. Why were key witnesses silenced? Why was footage destroyed? And why, in the days before his death, did Yu Menglong tell friends that he felt watched wherever he went? Each clue leads to the same chilling conclusion, that perhaps Yu's final moments weren't his own. Maybe he wasn't just a victim of circumstance, but a casualty of an empire built on secrets. The story of Yu Menglong is more than just a tragedy, it's a mirror reflecting the hidden machinery behind the fame millions admire. It forces us to ask, how many more stories like his have been buried under silence and power? What do you think really happened that night? Was it an accident or a warning? Could Yu Menglong's death have been the turning point that exposed the corruption beneath China's entertainment empire? The days leading up to Yu Menglong's death now appear hauntingly calculated. Insiders describe a man exhausted, both physically and mentally, yet strangely determined. In the week before the dinner, he reportedly made several cryptic phone calls, one to his manager, another to a close friend abroad, telling them he was done playing their game. To those who knew him best, Yu was calm but deeply introspective. He often wrote in his journal late at night, sometimes scribbling half-finished thoughts like, "They smile with glasses raised, but the poison isn't always in the drink." No one knew what he meant at the time, but that line now feels chillingly prophetic. By the evening of the dinner gathering, witnesses recalled how Yu seemed distracted, almost detached. While others laughed, he kept checking his phone, occasionally typing messages, then deleting them. One source close to the investigation said there were unsent drafts on his phone, messages like "I'm not safe here and if something happens to me, it wasn't an accident." Those messages were never sent. As the night progressed, subtle tension filled the air. Several guests noticed that Yu's interactions with a particular executive identified only as Mr. Z were unusually cold. Mr. Z was a powerful man in the industry, known for controlling artists through intimidating contracts and behind-the-scenes manipulation. During one awkward moment, someone at the table reportedly joked about Yu's decision to take a break from acting. The laughter that followed wasn't friendly, it felt mocking. Yu raised his glass but barely smiled. He sipped, nodded politely, and avoided eye contact. Around 11 p.m., Yu was seen standing by the window of the private room, looking out at the neon-lit Shanghai skyline. He seemed lost in thought, unaware that someone was quietly watching him from across the room, a tall man in a grey suit, unknown to most of the guests. Minutes later, Yu was approached by a server carrying another drink. But according to later testimonies, Yu hadn't ordered it himself. He hesitated before taking it, his hand trembling slightly as he brought the glass to his lips. That detail, a drink he didn't request, would later become one of the biggest red flags in the entire case. By 11:30 p.m., Yu Menglong excused himself from the table. Security cameras captured him walking down the dimly lit hallway toward the elevator, his pace unsteady. Two men followed him seconds later. Their identities remain unknown, and the footage showing their faces was conveniently lost in the corrupted files. What happened between 11:35 and 12 a.m. remains one of the darkest gaps in this entire story. But one witness, a janitor who was working late in the building, told investigators that he heard shouting from the rooftop level shortly before midnight. He described hearing a man's voice, possibly Yu's, yelling something that sounded like, "You think I don't know," followed by muffled arguing and then, silence. Moments later, there was a loud crash, a sound that would echo through Shanghai's entertainment world for months to come. When paramedics arrived, Yu was barely recognizable, his body crumpled near the side of the luxury building. The official narrative said he had fallen from the rooftop, but the condition of his injuries sparked confusion. According to leaked autopsy details, certain impact marks didn't align with a typical fall trajectory. Some experts suggested that he might have been unconscious before hitting the ground. Even more suspicious, his blood alcohol level, though above the legal limit, was not high enough to cause severe imbalance. In fact, doctors noted something else: traces of a sedative in his bloodstream, the same type used to induce mild disorientation. So if Yu wasn't as drunk as claimed, and if he had been given something to weaken him, then who gave it to him, and why? The following morning, chaos erupted. The restaurant shut down within hours, its staff replaced, and the CCTV system completely reformatted. By the time authorities requested access to the recordings, the data was gone. The manager, when questioned, simply stated that the system had malfunctioned. But here's where it gets more suspicious: multiple guests who had attended the dinner suddenly went silent. Their social media accounts were wiped clean. One actress who was seated beside Yu that night abruptly cancelled all her appearances and flew overseas. Another producer reportedly checked himself into a private retreat and has not been seen since. Meanwhile, journalists who attempted to investigate deeper reported receiving anonymous warnings. One reporter even claimed that his car was followed for 2 consecutive nights. It was as if someone or something was determined to bury every trace of what really happened that night. Weeks after Yu's death, fragments of his final hours began surfacing through private leaks. A whistleblower sent an encrypted file to an independent journalist, allegedly containing messages between Yu and an unknown contact saved under the name Lighthouse. The conversation hinted that Yu had uncovered massive financial irregularities linked to his agency and a few elite investors. The final message in the chat thread read, "They're planning something after the dinner. I need to be careful." That was the last text ever sent from Yu Menglong's phone. Investigators also found that Yu's hotel keycard from that night was never used. It appeared he had no intention of returning, or perhaps, he never got the chance to. In the months that followed, the entertainment industry began to crack. One studio head was arrested for embezzlement, another for bribery. Leaked internal documents revealed how several top agencies had been using artists' contracts to launder money through production budgets and sponsorship deals. Fans were furious. What had started as grief turned into outrage. The phrase #justice for Yu Menglong trended across Chinese social media platforms, amassing millions of comments in days. People demanded answers. Why did the official report contradict eyewitness statements? Why was the autopsy incomplete? Why was no footage preserved? One chilling theory suggested that Yu had become a target after threatening to go public with evidence of corruption. Whether that evidence ever existed remains unknown, but it's telling that right after his death, a number of incriminating documents vanished from his agency's digital archive. Those who knew Yu personally describe him as a perfectionist, disciplined, meticulous, and deeply reflective. He wasn't reckless, and he certainly wasn't self-destructive. His close friend later told a journalist, "You always believed the truth should come out, no matter the cost." He once said, "I'd rather fall for telling the truth than stand for a lie." That quote, once metaphorical, now feels hauntingly literal. Months after his death, a quiet memorial was held at a Buddhist temple outside Hangzhou. A former co-star placed a folded note beside Yu's photo. It read, "You didn't fall. You were pushed." That single sentence spread like wildfire online, a message of defiance against silence. Fans began creating documentaries, online petitions, and discussion threads connecting Yu's case to the larger collapse of the entertainment empire. The government eventually launched a broader investigation into entertainment industry corruption, freezing dozens of accounts and detaining several insiders. But still, Yu Menglong's case was left unresolved. Officially, it remains a fatal accident caused by intoxication. Unofficially, it's one of the most controversial deaths in modern Chinese celebrity history. To this day, fans visiting the site of the incident report strange phenomena: phones losing signal, surveillance lights flickering, and whispers carried by the wind. Some say Yu's spirit lingers there, watching, waiting for the truth to surface. The deeper we dig into Yu Menglong's death, the clearer it becomes that this was no simple accident. It was a story layered with power, fear, and betrayal, one that exposes the dark underbelly of fame. So what do you think really happened that night? Was Yu a victim of his own despair, or was he silenced for knowing too much? Do you believe the sedative traces were an accident, or a warning? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. I want to hear your theories. And if this story opened your eyes to the darker side of fame, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Your support helps us keep uncovering the truth behind the headlines. Because in Yu Menglong's story, every detail matters. Every silence speaks. And somewhere, buried beneath the lies, the truth still waits to be found.